I think the thing that frustrated me the most about studying for the MCAT was that it truly is a test that is about breadth, not depth. Hey everyone, my name is Emmajane, and I just took the MCAT in between the last 2 semesters of my senior year of college. My original plan was to study for the MCAT for a whole summer, but of course I got a little carried away and I never studied during the summer. I also was very busy always throughout the school year. I played varsity sport. I was always very active in my classes with tutoring and TAing. I did research and always had another side job to pay the bills. So I really never had a ton of time to study for the MCAT and was left with 24 days during winter break to do a final push to study. So I ended up having those 24 days in January, and I did go from a 500 to a 518. So I was very happy with my score, especially given the time frame. And the way I approached my studying was, at first I was really trying to get through these content books, and I quickly realized within a few days that I was never going to have time to get through all of them and do practice tests with the time that I had. So I shifted gears and switched to taking practice tests and very carefully reviewing them. So my study schedule ended up being 10 practice tests, and every other day I would take one, and every other day I would review it extremely carefully, making sure to learn from my mistakes. And I made sure to learn the strategy and the content from every single question, because I figured as long as I don't make the same mistake twice, I'm gonna get better. And indeed I did. Because I took that approach instead of reading books and then taking practice tests, I ended up collecting quite a few strategies because my main focus was on that passage approach and how I could comprehend as well as I possibly could the passages. It's not about how long can you study, how well can you memorize these content books, but instead thinking about how can I read the passage to understand it better? How can I read the questions to really understand what they're asking me? And how can I answer questions that I don't know the answer to, just based off these strategies of approaching and meticulously tearing apart every single question, every single answer choice. I think the thing that frustrated me the most about studying for the MCAT was that it truly is a test that is about breadth, not depth. And sometimes that was frustrating because you're really just scratching the surface on all of these different topics. But ultimately, I had to find some peace in that and really accept that I had to approach all this content as MCAT. So instead of getting frustrated that, for example, some neuroscience concepts on the MCAT are oversimplified and thinking about primary literature I'd read that contradicted what the MCAT was saying, I just had to accept that for the purpose of this exam, I needed to understand things the way the test writers wrote them. And that's really how I put that framework into my head. And as I studied, the biggest realization and now tip that I had was that most of the information you need is in the passage. This is truly a passage-based exam, and there's a reason that they are giving you passages for you to read for all these questions. So comprehension and understanding and ability to go back to that passage are absolutely critical, and will get you so much farther than poring over content books. So as I mentioned, the score I ended up getting was a 518, and I was very happy with that. And my biggest piece of advice to you is to trust yourself and take it one step at a time. The thing that I've seen as the biggest challenge for my students is the mental game. Just knowing that you have this really big, really important test ahead of you can be so daunting. So I think really taking a deep breath, making sure you're in this mental state where you can be focused and ready to learn is going to be the best possible thing for you. I would say that speaking with people who have taken this test before, one of my classmates who had studied in a similarly short time frame is something that really helped me. It really helped calm me down and help me believe that I could do it. I really had to rely on trusting myself and that every day I could learn so much. So trying to keep calm, knowing that I could make a difference every week, every day, it was all worth something. And that's part of why I wanted to become an MCAT Mastery tutor. So if you are in the same boat that you're on a time crunch or you're struggling with strategy, I hope that you make more use of the MCAT Mastery materials available to you, and maybe I'll even see you in tutoring. But regardless, trust yourself and take it one step at a time.